Muslims claim that the Quran is uncreated, sent down, completed, and unchanged. First, the Quran is uncreated. Uncreated means it's eternal. If it's eternal, that means it is divine. Can there be two gods? The Quran is often presented as the unaltered word of God, preserved in its original form since the time of its revelation. However, when delving deeper into its history, several aspects emerge that challenge this notion of preservation. Second, the Hafs recitation, which is one of the most widely used versions of the Quran today. In 1924, in the city of Cairo, they were noticing that they could not do any standardized testing on any religious texts because all the students were coming with many different answers deriving from several Qurans. So they went to Al-Azhar University and they asked Muhammad B. Ali al-Husseini al-Haddad if he would choose one of these 37 derivations. He chose Hafs. King Fahd in Saudi Arabia saw how successful this was for Egypt. So he decided to make this Hafs text the standard for the whole world in 1985. It is essential to recognize that it is just one of many recitations of the Quran. The Uthmanic Codex, which aimed to standardize the text, led to the burning of other versions of the Quran that differed from the established text. Hafs was from Iraq. He lived 144 years after Muhammad. So he never met him or seen the original Quran. Besides, Hafs is a liar and fabricator. Muslims don't accept any hadith from him as shown on the screen, but they accept Quran from him? Plus, we encounter the concept of the 7 ahruf, Sahih al-Bukhari 3219, Book 59, Hadith 30. As Muhammad continued to receive revelations, he requested Gabriel for more variations. Ultimately, he was taught 7 distinct styles or forms of recitation. Several narrations describe incidents where companions of Muhammad recited verses differently and were affirmed by him as correct.
What exactly are these 7 ahruf? The scholars of Islam classically have not been in agreement as to what exactly these 7 ahruf are.
Furthermore, the arrangement we have today is not the order in which the verses were revealed. The order we see now may reflect the preferences of early compilers rather than a divine decree. Moreover, according to some historical reports, after the death of the prophet, Hafsa, who was one of the prophet's wives, had a copy of the Quran. It is said that a goat entered her home and consumed a part of the manuscript. Al-Suyuti, Jalal ad-Din, Al-Itikan fi Ulum al-Quran, Cairo, Al-Halabi, 1935, Volume 2, 25 says, "It is reported from Ismail ibn Ibrahim from Ayub, and from Nafi, and from Ibn Umar. Let none of you say, I have acquired the whole of the Quran. How does he know what all of it is when much of the Quran has disappeared? Rather let him say, I've acquired what is survived." Sahih Bukhari talks about verses which were cancelled. We used to read the verse of the Quran revealed in their correction, but later the verse was cancelled. Volume 5 Hadith 416, Book 59. If something as sacred as the Quran could be lost or eaten by an animal, how can we assert that it has been perfectly preserved throughout history? In addition, Surah 14 Ayah 4 says, "Never have we sent a messenger, but he has addressed his people in their language." That means Allah sent Muhammad for Arabic-speaking people only. Only 15% of all Muslims worldwide speak Arabic. In Mishkat al-Masabi, Hadith 5737, Book 28, Hadith 206, in a version on the authority of Abu Umama Abu Dhar told that he had asked God's messenger the number which made up the full complement of the prophets, and he replied, 124,000 among whom were 315 messengers all told. Who do you know from these 124,000 prophets? We also read in Dur al-Manthur. Aisha narrated that during the lifetime of the Holy Prophet 200 verses were recited in Surah Ahzab, but when Uthman collected the Mus'haf, he only succeeded in locating the present number of verses. That means that Surah Al-Baqarah is missing just 113 verses. Moreover, all the 6 early Quranic manuscripts are not complete, and none of them completely agree with each other. And none of them completely agree with the current 1924 Hafs text. All of them have hundreds and even thousands of subsequent manuscript variants. None of the earliest manuscripts have any dots, and they don't have any vowelization dhamma, fatha, kasra. And that's important because without them, you can create many different variations on the same letter. The dots were not invented until the 8th century. The Samarkand manuscript, which is in Tashkent, and the Sana'a manuscript, which is in Yemen. Both of these are 8th century documents, and you can see there's no harakat. As you can see on the screen, an example of, even with the same letters and dottings, but different harakat or vowelization, you get very different meanings of the words. In conclusion, after all its variations, historical changes, and textual differences, the Quran appears to be man-made and not divinely inspired.